Hey everyone, it is Monday, January 20th, 2025, and we are here for our daily Bible reading. I am Robin with In the Family Way Coaching, and I'm very happy that you're here with me today. So thank you for joining me. We are going to be, before I forget, if you have your calendar, go ahead and get your calendar out. It's almost full for the month of January, and I have put my sticker on. So I hope that you have your stickers ready or some other way that you are using to mark off your calendar so that we can mark off today's date to show your daily commitment that you have been reading every day this year. Well, today we are going to be reading out of Exodus and we are learning about Moses. And we are reading in the Day by Day Kids Bible, which we have here. And if you don't have one of those, then you can just follow along. These can be bought on Amazon, by the way, for anybody watching who doesn't yet have one. If you are looking for your own copy, you can get that on Amazon. I have a link to where to get it on my site for the event information. But if you just search for the Day by Day Kids Bible on Amazon, it will come right up. And the author is Karen Henley, down there at the bottom. So we are ready to begin our daily Bible reading. It's a very short entry today. It is bringing us into Exodus 2, and the title of the chapter is called Running Away. And we're going to be hearing about Moses after he grew up. Moses grew up to be a man, and one day he went where the Jews were working. He knew they were his own people, and he watched how hard they worked. Then Moses saw a man from Egypt beating a Jewish man. Moses looked around. There was nobody watching. So he killed the man from Egypt. He hid the body in the sand. The next day, Moses went out again, and he saw two Jewish men fighting with each other. He turned to the man who started the fight. "Why are you hitting your neighbor?" he asked. "Who said you could be our king, our prince?" the man answered. "Do you think you will kill me? I know that you killed the man from Egypt." Moses got scared. "People must know what I did," he thought. The king had heard about it, and he tried to kill Moses. But Moses ran away from the king, and he went to a land called Midian. He sat down by a well there. In a little while, 7 girls came to the well. Their father was a priest in Midian. They came to the well to give their sheep some water. But some shepherds came over to the well, and they pushed the girls away. Moses stood up. He came over, and he made the shepherds move back. Then he got water for the girls' sheep. The girls went back to their father, Jethro. "How did you get home so early today?" he asked. "A man from Egypt was at the well," they said. "He saved us from the shepherds, and he got water for our sheep, too." "Where is he?" asked Jethro. "Why did you leave him there? Ask him to come and eat with us." Jethro asked Moses to stay with them, and Moses said he would. Jethro let his daughter marry Moses, and sometime later, Moses and his wife had a baby boy. While Moses was away, the king of Egypt died. The Jews cried to God. They cried because they had to work so hard for God's people, for Egypt's people. God heard them. He remembered the promise he had made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So God watched over his people. He cared about what was happening. It's almost like a little bit of a cliffhanger there. We don't know what happens yet. That was a very short entry today, but there was a lot going on. But today we learned about Moses. He's grown up, and Moses committed a sin, a pretty big one. If we're ranking sins, as we tend to do, that he committed murder, and he hid the body. And that was not the right thing for him to do, especially being a prince of Egypt. He didn't have to kill the man. He could have probably had him arrested or some other thing. But he didn't. He killed the man and he hid the body. But he was trying to protect his own people. And he knew at this point that he was adopted and he wasn't really a son of the princess. But he was very confused by what he saw. He couldn't understand why the Jewish people were fighting even with each other. And it was very surprising to him when, instead of being welcomed by them, he was called out on his sin. And so he ran, especially after the king found out what had happened. But what I want to point out is that not just Moses' sin, but that despite Moses' sin, God still has purpose for Moses. And just like when we sin, God still has purpose for us. And even though what Moses did was wrong, God was still working good into everything. He took Moses to Midian. It doesn't say that specifically, but when Moses ran to Midian, who was there? Jethro. And he would marry one of Jethro's daughters after he came to their rescue. So we see that Moses has a heart for justice. He wants to stick up for people. That's what we see in each of the three situations here in our story. He was trying to, in a sense, protect the Jewish man from being beaten. And then he was trying to stop an argument between two Jewish men. And then when the girls were being bullied by the shepherds at the well, he stepped in and he stopped that. And he wouldn't let anybody bully those girls. And then he himself drew water for the girls' sheep. He watered their sheep, it says. So, although Moses committed a sin, he wasn't perfect. None of us are. And so that's what is wonderful about the stories that we read in the Bible, is that it shows how human everybody is. The only person who was perfect in the entire Bible is Jesus. It's not Moses, it's not Abraham, it's not Isaac, it won't be King David, it won't be any of the prophets, it won't be any of the apostles. It was only Jesus. But despite that fact, God cares about his people. And he cared about Moses, and he took care of Moses. And Moses ended up marrying a woman whose father was the priest. So a priest is someone, as we know, who teaches people about God. So it's important to note that prior to this time, there were people who worshiped God and knew about God. They just were not called the Jewish people. They were just people who worshiped God. And the Jewish people, remember, are the family of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and the 12 sons of Israel, because Israel became Jacob's name. So it wasn't that there was no longer any people who worshiped God besides the Jewish people. It was that God's promise for our Savior, Jesus, was to come through that line eventually. And we will read all about the different generations of people as we go through the Bible this year. But I wanted to point that out, that God was still looking out for Moses, and he cared about what was happening to the Egyptian people. And he is always working good into everything. Moses would need to be where he is so that he could learn about God away from Egypt and then be called by God to do God's work. So God is definitely going to be working in Moses's life, just like he is working in our lives. So that's all I have for our reading today. It was a short reading, so I wanted to give a little bit of just extra talking time on the video today, since we're only about 9 minutes in. And I wanted to share with you my experience with trying to record these videos for today. So I tried to record this actually last night, And I tried to do it early because, as you may remember, I said I had an early shift today where I was working from 6:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And so I was trying to be very responsible and say, I know I said I wouldn't get it out till late, but let me see if I can just get this video out and I'll have it ready for publishing automatically. And I recorded the video and I wasn't satisfied, and I recorded it again and I recorded it again, and it must have been 3 or 4 times that I recorded this video, and I just wasn't satisfied with it. So I said, I'm not going to publish it. There's no rule that says I have to pick one of these and post it. And so I didn't. And then this morning I got up and I was all fresh, and it took me a little while for the coffee to kick in. But once it did, I was just ready to go, and I was hoping that I would have time in the morning before I left to record the video, but I just really didn't. I would have to be up like at 3 in the morning instead of 4 in the morning to be able to do that. And it was just beyond me to be up at 3 in the morning to record the videos before going to work. And I didn't want to be super late to work again. So it dawned on me that the reason this morning that why the videos didn't work for me last night is because although I read the story well, they felt more obligatory. And that's what we don't want. If you remember, I've said a couple of times that I leave these videos unedited, and that's my compromise from not recording them live as a live streaming. I do have the live event available for reading the Bible through a live event, but I don't have to record that one and post it. And thus far, I don't actually have anybody reading with me in the live event, so I haven't had to worry about that. I'm here, but there's actually nobody there doing that just yet. And the point is that it's not an obligation to be here. This is a choice to be here. And that's the way God works, is that he wants us to make a choice to do the right things and to do the things that we are doing. He's not standing over us going, "You will do this." We have purpose, but we still have free will too. And I am choosing to be here. And I was choosing to be here last night too, but I don't want to be present knowing somewhere in me I'm here out of obligation. And so I was trying to just, find something uh, for the discussion afterwards. And that was the part, again, that I wasn't satisfied with. I'm always fine with the reading. It's the after discussion. And that's because I just wasn't there. I was trying to do it instead of letting it be done through me. And I was trying to let it be done through me, but you can't force it. So I wanted to share that with you, that as you're doing anything, it's important that we make the decisions out of choice, not because we have to, especially when it comes to God, because that's the way God wants us to come, is by choice, not out of, okay, I'm doing the right thing because I have to. Now, when we're younger, like maybe you, Jedi, and Forrest, and Diamond, and Pearl, we do things because we are told to do them. But ultimately, as we grow up, we do things because we choose to. And that's a big difference. And it's not even just choosing to do them because they're the right thing to do. It's understanding that it is the right thing to do and knowing that when we don't do things the right way, that it causes hurt, it can cause disappointment. It's not right to do things um, just because then we can become very resentful of that. So I actually learned a technique in my class that I was taking from my health and wellness coaching. And anytime that you are feeling like something is something that you have to do, rephrase that. Rephrase it to, I choose to do this because, and then fill in the reason. I choose to read the Bible with you every day because I enjoy it. because I am living my purpose that I have waited so long to do for God, and because it gives me a lot of joy. And I just didn't have that joy last night. I was doing it because I felt like I needed to get it out to be responsible. And that's not what I want for these videos. I want to be here with you in a conversational manner, not in a, um, mm, I can't think of a smaller word, perfunctory manner, in an obligatory manner, where I sound professional. I wasn't trying. I thought I sounded just too professional. I was getting it done, and I was trying to make sure all my I's were dotted and my T's were crossed. And I much prefer this. This is real. This is who we are here together. So thank you for joining me today and listening to uh, my afterthought a little bit there to our Bible reading. And whether you are joining me today on YouTube, or whether you are with me on my site, or whether you have found me on TikTok, or maybe you have found me on Spotify, Facebook, or Zencaster, thank you for joining me here today. And I hope that you are here enjoying it, and that you will choose to be here again tomorrow. Because I know I will be choosing to be here tomorrow, not because I have to, but because I want to be here. And I pray for the same for you. So I hope you have a great rest of your night. I know this is a late video getting out, so thank you so much for waiting up for it a bit and knowing that I would get it out because I said I would, but that it would be later tonight. You have a great rest of your day, and I will see everyone again tomorrow.